Lo and fuck behold, guys. This is your boy Splyke on RXP, and we just came out from the movie theaters. We watched Superman and the Fantastic Four, the clash of DC Marvel, a tale as old as time. So I decided to bring Ace along so we can discuss it and see which film is the best, and did they live up to their hype.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's go time.
All right, guys, Ace and I are here, and we finished watching, like I said, Fantastic Four and Superman. I enjoyed both films. I really did love them, but we're gonna break them down bit by bit. What we liked about them, what we disliked about them, and which one in this month won the fight.
I will say something right off on camera so everybody understands. We did something totally unexpected. We watched both of them back to back.
Yes.
Which is insane, I know. But we wanted to see actually which one's better. Because everybody's talking about this is a blockbuster of superheroes. Superheroes back. So we wanted to see what's good. And I gotta say, the movies kind of much the same.
I disagree. I don't think they're, well, other than two different brands, they're different.
And they're different, but they're both lining, and they both end with you giving us hope.
Yes.
Right? They both inspire. They both are that comic booky feel that you come out being like, damn, I love those heroes, or damn, I love Superman, or damn, I love Fantastic Four, right?
Right. The thing is, and we'll get into that, they had different startings. And you and I get into how they started and how they ended. They had different focuses regarding on like the characters, and their morals were a lot different. But overall, solid films. Even in the box office, they both are doing very well. But before we get started, Ace, what do you want? What do you want?
Oh, I forgot this is Splice Corner, so we got to figure out what you want. Whatever you give me, whatever you decide.
Pick a turtle.
I gotta go with Leonardo.
That's mine.
What?
Yeah, that's mine.
Fine, and I'll go with Ralph.
Leo is always mine.
You said he said pick a turtle. Now I can't pick a turtle. Come on now.
No, Leo is mine. I have to remember that. Leo is always mine.
All right, whatever. Mine. These are ice cold.
Yeah, you're supposed to, like jump a drink. So, all right, you got to pick your poison now.
Okay, I'll choose whatever's in this mystery box. What is this?
Oh, it's kind of low because
I see you've been drinking out of the wazoo.
Not only me. There was a lady.
It's just water, folks. It's just water.
Yeah, you can have just water. All right. I'm gonna have this. This is Bomba rum. This is a Panamanian rum. Shout outs to my home from far. Wait, this is lovely.
My God. All right, we'll drink the shot at the end of the show then.
Yeah, we'll drink that. Yeah.
Must be fun picking your poison. All right, so
yeah.
Thanks for the shot, by the way. But I have to say, it was, and we talked about it. We talked about it very, very in the very beginning. Right. When we came out of Superman, I loved it. And now this is not a critique, okay? This is just us, me just honestly just venting my honest opinions. This is not a critique at all because I don't want to come out like I'm critiquing it, because honestly, this movie felt like Superman. This movie was honestly what I always wanted in a Superman film. It was the boy blue. It was the boy wonder. It was honestly everything that we wanted in the terms of like, this is a Superman who is that cookie cutter Superman. That whole Superman that people get pissed off at. Oh my God, why is he so dumb? And oh my God, why is he like, this is that Superman.
This was a good, David Corenswet Superman was a very good Superman in my opinion. Yes, he's one of my favorites. Now, is he above Tyler Hutchins, Superman and Lois? No, he's not. But I'm not giving him that much. But this was a Superman that the Blue Boy Scout that saves people. Heck, he saved a squirrel.
I know he did.
That was like, I rarely see Superman save a squirrel. I mean, it's usually a cat in a tree, but this man saved a squirrel. He saved everybody during this chaos and this fight with this kaiju. But the thing is about this film, I guess I should get the positives out the way. What I liked. Visually, great.
Great visual.
Great visuals. Excellent cast.
Excellent cast.
And the story, it was okay. It was okay. It was okay overall. I think the story was okay. Especially the message behind the story. That's what made me feel. It gave me those feelings like DC is finding its footing.
Agreed.
DC was finding its footing, and it felt very silver, almost very Silver Age. It had, even though granted James Gunn had his jokes here and there, I think it just felt very comic book like, especially for this film, and I enjoyed it. I have my qualms, but I enjoyed it overall. I'm not gonna give you my rating yet, but I enjoyed it. Now,
I will say, stick it on the positive. Great story. I thought it was overall. I mean, it had a beginning, middle, end.
Right.
I had no issues with the characters, the actors. I thought you were able to get invested in every single character. I mean, if we bring complete honesty here, it felt like a Marvel movie.
I think that was what the issue was when people were, because of how. Well, I guess now we gotta get into the negatives. Actually, from the beginning, we had the opening crawl.
Yeah.
Where we started out with 3,000 years or 300 years years ago, and then they just went into the gods and metahumans and Superman, and that was what I was okay with at first, but then I had to think about it as it would have been better in probably 3-4 minutes if they did a montage showing instead of having the audience read it. Show us what happened here, what happened there, and what is going on at this point where we get introduced to Superman as a baby, Superman as a teenager, Clark as a baby, teenager, seeing his accolades just like we did in Fantastic Four in the beginning. That would have been nice to see. And then we jump into, boom, he crashes into the ice. That's what I would have done a little different. But we didn't get that. And we also felt like it was, this is how I felt, it wasn't focused on Superman and Clark enough. It felt like it was everywhere. We got Mr. Terrific, which was great. Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, which is a great. He's not my favorite Green Lantern. That's Jon Stewart. Of course, we have Hot Girl. All she did was screaming the entire time. Excellent Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Minus the crying at the end. That was Lex Luthor wouldn't have done that. He would have done that. No qualms about Lois Lane. I have nothing on her. That was Lois Lane.
This is my problem with Superman. Okay, and I loved everything about it because it's still one of my favorite Supermans of all time. My issue in the beginning, you hinted it a little bit, is the fact that they told, didn't show.
Yes, that's right? The rule of thumb.
And the issue I had with that was, I know James Gunn didn't want this to be a origin story, and we know the whole thing about Superman. I get that, but when you're basically telling us to our face, this is already an era where we kind of know everything behind the scenes.
Right.
We honestly know everything that is to know about everything. We're not this is not a brand new Superman that we know. However, though, we do like to see the backstory of this new Superman. And even if it is the same story, the same rehash, then give us a flashback. And I don't want to compare, but I am going to compare. When you compare to, again, when we saw Fantastic Four, that was a very beautiful flashbacks / opening for Fantastic Four.
Right.
It immediately showed us just what power and just who we are dealing with in that world. We had the villains. We had the story. We were already encompassing how that world, it's that world building in that story. Sometimes a world crawl isn't what we need. It's not what we want in a movie. We want us to see. That's the whole point. We want to see what's going on.
Unless it's Star Wars.
Unless it's Star Wars.
Which that's been a thing.
But that's a trope for Star Wars.
That's
right?
a trope for Star Wars.
That's a gimmick for them.
And
it works for them.
Yeah, it works.
But my issue is the fact that once we get that, again, it's not a Superman movie. It's a Superman and Friends.
Yes.
And it's not wrong with that. That's nothing wrong with that. But I think for a lot of people, and I'm just saying to myself, this is me, I wanted a Superman-centric movie. And I feel as though there's so many screen time in that movie where he is a damsel in distress and everybody's there to save him, which is a nice, it's a different story take. But I didn't really feel connected to Superman that much, in the point where I felt more connected to a Man of Steel Superman than I am to this Superman. And again, not to say I don't like this movie,
right? But
I feel the connection towards Man of Steel Superman was better than it was for this Superman.
Like I said, we had a balance. I think in terms of Man of Steel, we got Clark and Superman.
Yeah.
Compared to this one where we got mostly Superman, not enough Clark, and we got a little too many jokes. We had a little too many jokes. There were some moments.
A lot of people didn't like that.
I think
a lot of people chucked it up to being a James Gunn film where it's too punchy, too many jokes around here. I had no problem with the jokes, but I can see with somebody who wants a serious moment, like they don't like that, and I get that. I understand that. I mean, I can't. I mean, everybody has different perspectives on how they enjoy a movie and how they watch a movie. But it's one of those things where people just don't, they just don't like it the way it is.
Well, you have to let those moments breathe. Like, especially that moment between him and Lex, that was a moment like, yeah, let it breathe. Let that moment happen. Or that moment between Lois and Superman when he was having his cocoa, while there was in the background, you have the Justice Friends battling this interdimensional creature in the background. It's like, let that moment happen. Let it breathe.
I think that's another reason why people it was more of like a chuckling thing instead of that's why I think so many people are so focused in on that monologue and that tension between Lois and Clark when they had that interview. I think so many people point to that being so amazing because it was just them. No music. It was in a tight living room space and they were having an outing as a relationship and we loved that. I think we loved that dynamic between those two characters and that's shown throughout the screen. If we're being honest, that to me was the best scene in that entire movie. I think we got to see not only Clark, but also Superman. It was great seeing both of those dichotomies in that character being flushed out. You saw how Clark was trying to treat his girlfriend, but you also saw Superman coming out and telling her I am hope. That's what I am. That's who I am. But you also saw how Lois Lane was also that punch back character who didn't stand down and was digging in him and what much as he needed. I thought that was such a great, beautiful scene.
Shout outs to, I got her name, but it was Rachel. I gotta get her name. She did, again, great Lois Lane, because that's Lois Lane. That's what she would do.
Lois Lane.
She would do that in an interview with Superman. That's what she would do. And I definitely think that was one of the best scenes. One of the scenes I enjoyed was when this is a spoiler, but Lex we saw him be a true villain. I've always said we needed a villain, and we need a villain that's willing to go the distance. Lex went the distance. He spent X amount of money just to not only imprison Superman, because that's Lex Luthor. He will spend money. This is a man, if you watch Justice League Unlimited, he spent millions of dollars in order to run a presidential campaign to piss off Superman. That's Lex Luthor. So this Lex Luthor, I enjoyed the lengths he went in order to vilify Superman without barely doing anything. Now, what was a little bit on the nose, and this is me being a nerd buff at the towards the beginning where it's Superman, people were wondering how some of the people were well, how the hell did he get in Ultraman? How did he get into the Force of Solitude? It was that's kind of obvious. Ultraman's a clone at this point. And we will be seeing Ultraman again. I guarantee it. We're definitely getting him. But like I said, best scene when he had Superman locked up and they're in an interdimensional area. He's basically on his knees, and then you see Lex just pop this guy in the head playing Russian roulette. I'm like, that's the villain shit I want.
It cemented how villainous that character was. My only issue, again, this is again me critiquing. This is actually a critique. Is a character and a villain like Lex, I think you have to build up to that. I think he's a villain you have to build over time within the movie and not just throw him in the gambit. And the reason why I said this is because I think as an audience, it's been so long since we've seen Lex Luthor. It's been so long. And so if you were able to build up to that character and make him larger than life, I think that would have been so great.
So you don't think this did him justice, this movie did him justice, because he is a big nemesis.
He is a big nemesis. I think he's a big nemesis. I just think it would just be. I mean, I don't know. Again, a caveat to me, but it depends if they were able to. Build
I think he was suited for this, especially for the new direction moving forward.
I agree.
Superman.
New direction.
Good on it. And now we just build from here, because I think the next one we're getting is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So we're gonna be getting her. So and I want them for this DC. Hopefully James Gunn is listening. If he sees this, you gotta build towards a big bad. I would build towards Brainiac. it's like we haven't had a live action Brainiac unless you count the show Krypton, but we haven't really had a lot.
I get what you're
Brainiac.
saying.
We have Brainiac. You got to do that. You can do Darkseid. You can do Cadmus. I think it's Cadmus, which is Amanda Waller. But how I would have done it, I would at least take the source material of Justice League, the animated series, Justice League Unlimited. That was season 2, where it was Justice League versus like Cadmus with this government power struggle, and it was a very good. God, I wish we had Dwayne McDuffie. God, if he was alive, I do miss him. He was an excellent storyteller. But that's how I would do it, because it's like my blueprint's already there. All I have to do is take that, put it to the big screen, a few tweaks here and there, and that rakes in your money.
I get what you're saying. I think Superman overall was. I mean, we can go back and forth of what we wish it could have been, but overall, I think it was a great movie.
Yeah.
And in our Discord, by the way, I gave it a 9.
Oh,
I gave it a solid 9.
I gave it an 8.
You gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8 because again, I think what turned it, I gave it the less than the score that you gave it was because like they should have corrected his origin story, why he was sent to Earth.
That makes sense.
Because that's something you should have done. Like, because Lex would manipulate shit like that.
I agree.
That should could. Now, we gave it our score for Superman. Now let's jump to its competitor, the Fantastic Four.
This I'm being honest. When we went into the Fantastic Four, I was blown away because I had low expectations. I didn't care for the trailers. I was like, this is going to be lame. I had that, what they like to call on the internet, that Pedro Pascal fatigue, and I didn't really care for it. However, as always, I doubted, and I should not let the internet judge my conscience. I went in there completely blown away by the dynamic, the chemistry, just the storytelling of that movie. If we're just being honest, if we're looking at them both just script-wise, Fantastic Four beats Superman all the way, just based on script. And I'm not talking about CGI. I'm not talking about anything. Script alone, the story that Fantastic Four told is so much stronger than the story that was told in Superman. And that's just me. There was so many family dynamics. There was so many different dynamic between the characters. I wish we had a little bit more of Ben, and that's just me. I wish we had a little bit more struggle between Ben, but we saw it, just a glimpse of it. But everybody else was there. Everything just made sense. And in that movie, the stakes felt real. And for the very first time, I felt a movie that felt not only grounded with the story, but also grounded with the fact that not only are you dealing with a cosmic level being, but you're also dealing with a morality clause of giving up your son away for the good of mankind, right?
That was the struggle between, and this, I really did love this Sue Storm. No offense to Jessica Alba Sue Storm, but this was the nurturing, strong Sue Storm.
Yeah,
that was, I did love the embodiment. Now, when I went into this, when I first saw the trailer, I fell in love with the aesthetics of the outfits, the world, which is the 828. We'll get back to that. And the retro 60s. It was just like, oh my God, this is... Because how I got into Fantastic Four was in the 90s, at least early to mid-90s. It was the animated series. And the first 2 episodes, if I recall, were the coming of the Galactus, where we introduced to Silver Surfer. And they do a little montage, like funny. They did the good opening montage here, where the Fantastic Four, they were astronauts, they went to space, they got their. It was almost like I was watching the '90s cartoon, but with Pedro Pascal as a Latino, as Reed Richards with a mustache. Which now that I remember that interview, he said he never will shave off his mustache again because he did it for Wonder Woman and he looked terrible. I'm like, yeah, you did look terrible. And as much as I do want a Reed Richards bald face, I'm like, Pedro Pascal without a mustache, it is freaking.
But I'm glad you brought up Pedro Pascal, because there were so many people saying, well, no, he can't act, he can't do Reed Richards, we just got to do that. Guys,
I doubted. I was with that.
Guys, there is a moment in that movie where you are you lose everything in terms of like the reality, and you are focused on Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, and you finally notice that I'm not looking at Pedro playing Reed Richards. I'm looking at Reed Richards on screen, live and in person. That is what I felt, and he encapsulated that character so good, man.
With a few things Reed would not have done, but I think I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let it pass.
Like what?
Reed Richards would. This is my little tangent though. That's not a little tangent. Like me nitpicking, because Reed is a very logical person. There were 2 instances where it's like Reed. Remember when he came back to Earth? Him and the family came back to Earth. Like Reed would not have said like why they weren't able to defeat Galactus, because Reed Richard would know like, okay, if I said this is how the public's gonna react. And it looked like he was like very surprised. I'm like, Reed would have thought about like not saying that. He would have at least said something else.
I get what you're saying.
He would have told them a loose truth, but not revealing that thing.
I get what you're saying, but the only reason why I'm giving it pass is because 1, he just had a kid in space. 2,
yeah, it's been a month. According to them, it was a month.
Yes,
he just had plenty of time to think about what to say and do.
Yes, he just had but he just had a kid in a month. He had his wife in labor. 3, he doesn't know what the hell's going on.
He doesn't. I was okay with that. Okay, you don't know.
So he literally had like as any human being. I think that just showed like that's real. Like that's why I was like, damn, that's real.
I wouldn't have told him like, listen, I have to give up my baby. I would have been like, we couldn't beat him. We have to find another.
But that's omitting the truth though.
That's omitting the truth in order to avoid the chaos that just happened. But
I don't think Reed wouldn't do that.
Yeah, Reed would do that.
He would omit the truth.
He would in order to protect the public, he would have to omit like, we can't tell you this part. But we didn't defeat him. But we will. We're not sure how we're gonna do it, but we'll find a way.
I think that's exactly what he said.
That he did say that, but he didn't. He put in the part where like we have to give up our baby in order to save the planet. I would have omitted. I would have not.
I get what you're saying that, but I think that's if he wouldn't have done that, then you lose the plot device of pushing the story forward.
Yeah, okay, well, that's true. I guess that is true, but I'm sticking with my.
I get what you're saying.
I'm sticking with my guns.
I get what you're saying.
Then again, we wouldn't have had that monologue. That monologue.
You would.
I understand that.
The whole story then unravels.
I still want to stick to my guns. I would have probably done something different. Okay, if that's the case, we omitting that monologue. Well, I'll just have to come up. I will brainstorm something.
That's horrible. No. Because then you ruin that whole masterpiece of what Sue did. And again, I think we go back to Superman. Yeah, exactly. Which is what I'm saying. When we go back to Superman, we had that intense moment between Lois Lane and Superman in the living room. We had so many good intense moments in Fantastic Four that you can go back and go, damn, that's so good. There's a moment between the where Reed is contemplating giving up the son. They're having a deep relationship moment there. The moment between Sue coming out and talking to the whole public. We have a moment between Sue and
John. Sorry. We have a moment between. Actually, there was a lot of. One thing I want to say, because I know I never got to the second part of my issue, was him moving the Earth without taking the moon with him. Reed would have found a way to take them both, because you need both planets. Let's call it as is. Reed knows that better than anyone. Overall, movie, great. The moment between Johnny and what was it, the Silver Surfer, and we got to see Johnny like go in depth. Like we got to see like. He's not just a playboy, he actually acknowledged, like, but we got to see him like help the Silver Surfer come to their side and help them out later on. Now in the show, in the comic books, it's usually I remember in the show it was Ben Grimm's girlfriend Alicia. She's blind. She's the one that convinces the Silver Surfer. And the Watchman is usually involved. The Watchman wasn't in this one, but it's usually, but it was Alicia that convinces the Silver Surfer to like help them out. So, like he sees the good in humanity. Norrin Radd, Superman, sees the good in humanity. This one, you had Johnny Storm that basically held the Silver Surfer
accountable.
Accountable. Thank you. About hey, you basically help destroy these worlds. Think of all the you tried to save your child, which I'm wondering where the hell was Norrin Rad. You tried to save your child, but what about everyone else? You kind of fucked over everyone else, and he had basically shown a mirror to her, which was great.
Great.
Thus she's like, and thus turned. We'll get her back. She's gonna come back.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, we have to get her back. Thus causing her to like help. And I loved that ending. Honestly, that ending was actually the ending of that fight.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
It was a great fight, especially with Sue Storm. Now, your question, you had some questions actually regarding Franklin.
Oh no, the questions have been answered now. I was able to do my deep dive in my comments, so I was able to answer.
Right, cool.
I thought I think if there's so many nuances, so many innuendos, there's so much there that just makes that story so damn good. There's a moment there where if you realize, right, Galactus is always portrayed as a god. Right?
I mean, yeah, he's a force of nature. If I recall, he was described as a force of nature, a necessary force of. So yeah, he is.
But Jack Kirby, when he wrote this, right, he specifically said that he wrote this because he wanted him to be an omnipotent god. He's like, what God? And I think in this movie, you can tell how it really was humans defying God. And you saw, I mean, there's so many layers to this movie that I just thought it was so damn great, which is why I have to give it a 10. Like, again, remember, it's hard for me to sit back and say, yeah, I mean, I can nitpick here and there and say, oh, this is not great. But when I look back at Superman, the reason why I gave Superman such a lower score than Fantastic Four is because the characters connected with them on a deeper and emotional level.
Especially with Fantastic Four.
Especially
how they balanced each character.
Exactly.
We got moments with Ben, we got moments with Johnny, we got moments with Reed, we got moments with Sue. We got a good balance, like them being a family.
Exactly.
It was like, yeah, that's
what it is.
That's it. That's what they are. And I think this is something I don't know if you noticed, but when Silver Surfer came, did you notice there were two artists working in a room?
Yeah.
I think that was a nod to Stanley and Jack Kirby.
I was
like, that is beautiful. I just loved that nod. It was like,
it was little things in that movie that just made everything complete. Again, not knocking Superman and saying it's not a great movie. It is a great movie.
Yeah.
However,
it's a good start. Great start.
When you compare the two movies holistically, Fantastic Four just etches Superman on everything that is that movie.
And the thing is, it balanced its humor.
It balanced humor. It took serious moments serious, but it also encapsulated another portion of hope. But it also made you feel for these characters. And I'm being honest with you, I did not care for the love of Superman and Lois. It wasn't strong enough for me to be like, oh yeah, this. I think the bonds of family love, the bonds of relationship love, one was stronger than the other. So for me, Fantastic Four etches over Superman.
I think. Man, I'm a DC fan. Well, I'm a Batman DC fan, and so I'm gonna be a little more harsh on that one. But I'm definitely Fantastic Four did a good job. I say better job script wise, especially in terms of like character balance. I know there's a lot of people online that actually thought that I actually went into this, because there were articles. Before this movie, there were articles saying like, "Oh, it's gonna be woke. It's gonna have Sue's gonna talk about gender politics, or Johnny Storm is gonna be a less cavalier playboy." I'm like, there's none of those elements in there. Just those news articles, fuck them. Go in with an open mind, and I guarantee you're gonna come out happy and satisfied with these films.
I agree, and I will say whether you want, and this is not. I don't think you should choose. You should go watch Superman. Go watch Fantastic Four. They're both amazing movies.
Yes.
We're just comparing it because we're nerds and we want to talk about both of them. But do yourself a favor. Comic book movies are not dead. For so long, even before this became a show, on our podcast we would talk about superhero fatigue is a real thing, and it has been. I think
I always thought it was. Just like James Gunn said, it was mediocrity.
I do agree, mediocrity. Films. And I think for the very first time ever, we're back.
this is the first. I wouldn't say we're back yet. I need, because if I'm going to look at the scoreboard right now for Marvel and DC, it's still 4-1.
I get you.
It's still 4-1.
I get you. But I mean, like in regards to everything though, with comic book movies,
this is a good first step.
It's a good first step.
I wouldn't say we're back yet. Goes the same thing for Lucasfilm. I need you to have 5 successful films. 5 successful films. That, because you owe me 5 successful films. After the slop I've had for the past decade, I need 5 successful films.
Well, there you go. Well, should we take a shot? Okay, let's go.
Cheers.
Thank God it's water. Woo. Well, save your gameplay. This is RXP. We'll see you in the comments below.
As usual, nerds, stay classy.